Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most boring grind here on YouTube, Twitch, and the world. Welcome to Bad Haircut Plays Video Games. Today is day number 3, probably the last day of the Atma grind, the Demi-Atma grind, because it's awful. It's awful. It's not a lot of fun. So, let's get into it. I've been already playing the whole day because I had a free day. I did a lot of grinding, and as you guys noticed, the Fox just subscribes. Thank you very much, Fox, for 9 months. As you might have noticed, we're no longer in Occult. Why are we no longer in Occult? Well, Occult has this extreme problem. If we take a look at the Occult map on the left side, well, Occult is basically cut into 6 pieces of a pie, and Atmas only drop in certain regions. So the orange one drops only in the top left, the blue one only drops in the bottom left, the teal one only drops in the bottom right. So you can't really specifically target farm a color in Occult. And since we have gotten a lot of Atmas already, but we have not ever gotten the dark blue one, well, gotta keep me fed. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me, and Twitch for that matter, money, because without Twitch, well, this wouldn't exist really, so it's fine to pay Twitch as well. But yeah, we can't really specifically target farm a color, because the fates that appear on the Occult side are pretty darn random. So I've decided to take the last 2 colors, the orange color and the dark blue color, to the open world zones and grind regular fates over there, because now I can target farm a specific color, because all fates in Kozamauka do only drop the dark blue one. And while we're doing this, we can level 1 class. So, which means, by RNG, and I've not a lot of RNG luck today, by RNG, we are going to finish up a weapon today, possibly a second weapon, because you do not need to grind the Atmas again after the first one. You can, technically, but you don't have to re-grind the Atmas. You can use currency stones for that as well. And the second Atma, the second relic weapon, costs 1,500 of heliometry, probably heliometry, coins. So, after we finish up the first weapon today, we're gonna get on and do the second weapon. And once we have done 2 weapons, I think I'm gonna skip on the next 4 weapons, because A, I have the characters not really leveled, so we can't really do the weapons of the other characters, and B, well, turns out the relic grind is really awful, because it is a relic grind we have done once before. So we have only gotten rehashed mechanics into this relic grind. And quite honestly, I much rather play something that I want to play, and that would be World of Warcraft, leveling the Hunter, because there have been some relevations with the Hunter, and I want to prepare the Burning Crusade character with my Hunter. So it is highly likely that today is the 3rd episode of Final Fantasy XIV, the Relic Grind. We'll return to Final Fantasy in the future again, because there's a few projects that I want to do with Final Fantasy. But for now, I want to refocus back on the World of Warcraft side of things, because I think that is a much more enjoyable thing to do. And quite honestly, it has a little bit more views on YouTube. So, you know, I'm not a big guy on YouTube. I'm not a big guy on Twitch. I'm not a big guy in real life, 170. But I have to do those things that get a little bit of views, and World of Warcraft seems to be getting the best results currently, so we are probably gonna finish up Final Fantasy XIV today, if the loot luck again is on our side. So far it hasn't looked like it. So far it hasn't looked like we have a lot of drop luck. I have farmed 3 Atmas today in about 8 hours, which is terrible. This is the next thing. I think the drop rates of the Atmas is a tad bit too low. I think it's a tad bit too grindy. I think it's a tad bit too, well, tedious. Tedious is probably a good word for this. So yeah, I much rather do something that is less tedious, and that is leveling a character in a world of Warcraft. So we're probably gonna head on over to World of Warcraft in the coming days, probably tomorrow, and this is the 5th guild invite I have taken on today. And these guys don't even talk to me. So if you don't talk to me, I don't even consider joining you at all. Because fuck you. Don't just send out guild invites to people. That lowers the quality of your guild. If you want to have guildies, well, play with someone, see that they are not in a guild, determine whether they're a good player, and then invite them to your guild. Have a guild of quality, not a guild of quantity. A guild of quantity is, well, it is what it is. It's a quantity guild. It has high number, and you can say, oh, we're the biggest guild on the server, but our quality is absolute dog crap. And I might have to put on some lights inside of the room. Since we don't have a fade already there, I need some lights in the room because it's getting rather dark. Go. There we go. Yeah, so Final Fantasy XIV. I want to love this game. Gameplay wise, it's a lot of fun. Gameplay wise, it's a lot of fun. The classes play so uniquely, and yet it is very common, a common playset amongst all classes, but they all have their own different little flavor. Gameplay wise, this game is great. Graphics wise, it's pretty beautiful. Sound wise, well, Dawntrail is not the best of the bunch, but the rest of the game sounds incredible. But it's just the current version of Dawntrail is the worst version this game has ever been, and it's in a very, very rough state. The main story of Dawntrail has an extremely split opinion, and I'm in the controversial camp of saying I don't like it, which is the common conception of the current add-on. Buklamat, the main character, is designed beautifully, but she's extremely annoying. She doesn't have character at all, and the story is extremely replaceable. The current story arc with Sven is quite awful, honestly. The current story of Dawntrail is bad. Sound design is bad. The music is not very rememberable. The boss fights are pretty decent. Like the extreme fights and the raid fights have been very decent so far. But overall, this is the weakest version of Final Fantasy XIV that we have gotten so far, and it kind of shows. Usually I play a lot of Final Fantasy. Let's put our map to the side. Usually I play a lot of Final Fantasy. If you see the level 90s that I have available, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is a combo, so I have 9 classes that I usually play in Final Fantasy. I have leveled exactly 2 of them, and we're currently on the verge of leveling up the dancer because I am doing fates, so I'm not wasting the experience. But usually I play 9 classes to completion when it comes to an add-on of Final Fantasy. I have played 2. And I've played the absolute minimum of 2 because it's Samurai and Warrior, my 2 main classes. So just by the simple fact of me not even leveling the other classes that I want to play sometimes says a lot about the quality of the game. Because I'm an MMO child. I love playing MMOs. This is This is my genre. Along with CRPGs, Diablo Path of Exile and all of that sorts, I'm a big gameplay guy when it comes to CRPG and MMORPG. It's what I grew up with. I've played these games for 25 years, and we're playing World of Warcraft right now, so that's the perfect example of the argument. And the fact that I do not want to play the superior game says a lot, because currently the superior game is not worth playing, which I find hilarious. You have this extremely well functioning game and you decide to run it into the ground. You've had a 12-year-long story that you designed very carefully, and you learned a lot about writing a story, and then you drop the story of Dawntrail, which is the exact opposite of what you have learned the past 12 years. So it feels like that the people who made the game good no longer exist, which is a terrible statement to make. But we have seen this before, time and time again, and we usually say Company X is dead, it has been replaced by new people. Classic example is Blizzard. Classic example is BioWare, is Bethesda. We all have nostalgia for the old games of Blizzard. Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft Original, The Burning Crusade. We have a lot of nostalgia for this. And now we look at World of Warcraft proper, and World of Warcraft proper, Diablo 4, StarCraft is dead, but Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, like all of these games, we usually say this is not Blizzard. Blizzard is dead. It has been, all the old people are gone. We look at Bethesda, Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. Well, New Vegas is a different company altogether, but we have a lot of nostalgia for Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and now we look at Fallout 76 and the other modern games that Bethesda releases, and we go like, this is not Bethesda. Bethesda is dead. We look at BioWare. We are in love with Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. We love the Dragon Age Origins. We love Knights of the Old Republic. And yet then we look at Veilguard. We look at Andromeda. We look at Anthem. And we go like, this is not BioWare. The old BioWare is dead. These are no longer the old people. And I fear like we're getting into the situation where Final Fantasy XIV is heading into the same direction of the game used to be good, now it's no longer, and we wonder what is happening. And the fear that I have what's happening is that the people who made the original games are no longer there, and we yearn for the classic itch, the classic story writing, sound design, and the old people who have done the good stuff are no longer there. In Final Fantasy XIV situation, we still have Yoshida as the producer, we still have Soken as the musician, but these are only two people in a multi-hundred product. There are hundreds and hundreds of people involved in this product, and it just feels like that whatever made Final Fantasy good is gone, and that is a very scary thought, because we've had this rock pull many times before with other games, And it suddenly feels like we're going into the same direction of, well, old Final Fantasy is dead. This new Final Fantasy is not Final Fantasy. We have all said some form of this sentence for other games. Old company no longer exists. It still has the same name, but it's different people. So I feel like we're at the cusp of this being the exact same situation of, this is no longer the Final Fantasy team that the creative business unit that we care about. It's different. They're gone, and I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about this. But usually when I say controversial stuff, usually not that wrong, which kind of sucks. So I want to be wrong about this, but it feels like that the real creators that were responsible for the good stuff no longer are in the position to do the good stuff, or are simply no longer there. And that would honestly suck a lot. Because the game was great, Endwalker was pretty weak, but Dawn Trail is awful. Dawn Trail is awful. It's truly awful. The writing is completely wrong. The characters are not very likable. Wuklamat and whatever the name of her brother is, coming to my point, are not really the sort of that you remember for a long time. You remember Emmet for a long time. You will remember Elidibus for a long time. Even as controversial as Lyse was, or Papalimo, or Horsefront, these are names in Final Fantasy you remember for a long time. La Habrea, for all the right and wrong reasons. These are characters you remember. I can't even remember the name of the brother of Wuklamat, which is terrible. They're so forgettable. And man, I want to be wrong so badly. I want to be wrong so badly that this is just a phase and not the new status quo and not the permanent. Because it plays well. The game plays good. It plays smoothly. The difficulty is just right. The difficulty of the game is just right, but it does do absolutely nothing new. For 2 expansions now, we have had nothing but rehashes. For 2 expansions now, we have had nothing but lazy. And I fear like it is not because the game developers got lazy. It is because the people who are making this are no longer the people who made the old stuff. So it feels like that the experience that the old team had is not there to guide the new team to do stuff. So it feels like we are looking at a team of Final Fantasy XIV developers doing the same mistakes the original team made before, and they were not protected from said same mistakes. I want to be wrong so badly, truly. But you've seen it now. We have now been online for 20 minutes so far. I've not had a single Atma drop. In fact, haven't had a single Atma drop now for... Let me check it. I haven't had a single Atma drop for now because I kept track of these things. I've been here and I've been fating now non-stop for an hour, and I haven't received a single Atma in an hour. And I've been doing this now non-stop. And you kind of see the rate of fates that I'm doing right now. And I fully understand that this is the only time you have to do this. But considering the total amount I've spent in the occult grind right now, if we include today's time, I've been at the occult grind for 22 hours. I've been at the occult grind for 22 hours. And I'm still not finished with the first iteration. This is the first weapon and first iteration of my relic. Now I do understand that the following relics are stones again. But I have a big critique on stones. Stones is lazy. Stones is really, really lazy. Now, Atma is lazy as well. Why is Atma lazy? Because we've had it before. It is not a new grind. We have done Atma grinding before in the original Realm Reborn. 14 years ago, 13 years ago, we did an Atma grind already. Now, why do not we have a new grind? It can still be a grind. I'm not opposed to grinding. But I want to grind something new. I want to grind something refreshing. And then, after the extreme amount of grinding we're doing, we have done that style before. We simply have to spend coins, which is a grind. Grinding coins is a grind. We have done every single add-on now for 12 years. So why do we have to do an activity that we have done for 4, 6, 10, 12 years? And here's the main argument against a coin currency grind. The Endwalker currency, or the Endwalker relic rather, the Endwalker relic grind, last add-ons relic grind, was only currency stones. 1,500 per relic step. So it was a 1,500 relic grind per relic step. So we have done this relic step last add-on for well over 1.5 years. Patch for patch for patch for patch for patch. So it feels incredibly lazy. It feels incredibly lazy. Yeah. It's not great. Let's just say how it is. Let's just call it what it is. It's not great. It's not great. In fact, it's awful. In fact, it's truly awful. It's really bad. And I'm getting way too many of my gemstones, so let me spend a few. Let's get back to Koza whatever. Next big thing. Usually you have names that you can... Usually you have names in the game that you can speak. What the hell is Urkopacha Wahunpelo? What is Okhanu? What is Yaktel Ikbrax? What is Yaktel Mamuk? What is Shaloni Husatawi? What is Shaloni Sheshesenewesi Springs? What is Shaloni Mewahetsoan? Like, these are awful names. Awful awful names. Now remember, these are Japanese who make this. Japanese people have written this down. Can you imagine someone in Japanese saying this? These are awful, awful names. Truly awful names. Everything about Dawntrail is just awful. They have written the story in a way that no one can actually read the stuff. No one can actually read this. No one can remember this stuff. I'm not remembering the name. I'm not saying those names like they were supposed to say. No, thank you. I don't want to have a tongue twister every single time I want to go into an area. And these are a lot of yellow spots. So yeah, I want to say good things about Dawntrail, truly. I truly enjoyed the Snake Dragon Extreme. Visually, the Snake Dragon Extreme was wonderful. If we look into Dawntrails, Walk Lador was a wonderful, wonderful extreme. Everkeep was a pretty decent extreme. It was quite fun. It fit well into the design, but Solution 9 should have never happened. Space and Moon should have never happened. That is truly my opinion. Space and Moon should have never happened. Time travel should have never happened. Then we've had the Interfoss. Super boring. Recollection. Super boring. Raids. Well, the Cruiserweight Champions, the tournament is fun. Like, the tournament is fun. That is a cool idea. Like, having an announcer, being a Colosseum. Those are really fun. Those are really, really fun. Other than that, it's not good. PvP, they have done absolutely nothing with PvP for the last existence, basically. They have done absolutely nothing with PvP. The only good thing I can say about PvP is that PvP is completely separate from PvE. The stuff we do here does not impact PvP at all, and this is the right choice to do when it comes to balancing. You balance PvE and PvP separately. That is the absolute correct way to do it. But they do absolutely nothing with it. There is no evolution in the maps. There is no evolution in the style. There is no evolution in the game modes. There is no evolution in the dailies you can do. Daily Frontline has been there since the beginning of the game. We have gotten 4 new PvP modes ever since Frontline, and they have done absolutely nothing with it. It's like they don't want to have PvP, but it has to exist because it's an MMO and people want to PvP. That's why it exists. It's not really not only is it a focus of the game, it's not a focus of the game, but it's just it just drags along. It just drags along. They do absolutely nothing with it. There is no incentive to play PvP really, because PvP does not offer any gear, so you cannot use PvP gear in PvE or PvE gear in PvP. So these don't cross each other, they don't cross-pollinate each other, so you gain no benefit in doing one or the other. So there's absolutely no cross-pollination when it comes to PvP. The dailies have not changed in a decade. Sorry, that's what it is. The dailies have not changed in a decade. You could do this so much more interesting. You could do so many more things. It just doesn't. The only way to get gear is to raid in this game. There is absolutely no way, no cross-pollination, no cross-feature, no mechanically to upgrade your gear outside of main Savage raiding, which in my opinion is wrong. And it shows. The current numbers of Final Fantasy are the weakest retention numbers that we have seen so far. Square Enix is a publicly traded company, if I recall correctly, and we get yearly financial reports from Square Enix. So the money is laid bare. We can track what's happening with Square Enix, and it doesn't look good. The numbers are going down for Final Fantasy, for Square, and it is clear to me why. Dawn Trail is not good. Endwalker was weak, but Dawn Trail is not good. And if they don't knock it out the park with the next add-on, which by the way is still a year away, at least. The next add-on is still a year's time away, if not year and a half, or longer. The intervals between patches, content, and add-ons is way too long in Final Fantasy. And yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's not looking good. If the next add-on does not go back to form and formula, I don't see Final Fantasy XIV surviving much. And I think we're gonna get a Final Fantasy 18, 17 pretty soon. They are trying to set up with Dawn Trail a new 5 to 6 year story. I don't see it happening because the financial reports do not reflect this. And money is what counts. Money is what absolutely counts. And the money is not coming in. So if they don't change the way they do things with Final Fantasy, it's not gonna survive for long. It's gonna finally die out. And it would be a shame because it's a good product. It's a good product, but whatever they're doing doesn't seem to work. Whatever they're doing doesn't seem to work. And we have completed Kozamuka. So where is the gemstone trader of this area? It is here. So let's visit this gemstone trader really quickly. So let's visit the gemstone trader because we finished the area. It's not looking too great. Luck's been awful, as you can see. Harp joined us for the grind, and Harp has gotten 4 in the time we have gotten 0. So you can see drop rates awful for me. For me, it's truly awful. So yeah, welcome. I hope you will enjoy the next 2 hours because we don't seem to be getting one. I think. I think we are not really getting one, so yeah. We're gonna be here a while. And yes, once we are done with the relic grind, we're gonna grind out the second relic with stones. And then we are heading back to World of Warcraft. Because I hate to say this sentence, I really hate to say this sentence, but World of Warcraft currently is more fun than Final Fantasy. That's a bad sentence. It's a bad sentence. That is a bad sentence, so yeah. Bad drop luck. And it's not because the camera is on and now the camera automatically halves the drop luck. We haven't had drop luck since, well, let me look it up again. We haven't had drop luck since 1.5 hours. Not only didn't we have without 1.5 hours, and we did it. We haven't had drop luck since 1540. So I haven't dropped a single Atma now in 5 hours. Pretty much on point 5 hours. In 10 minutes it has been 5 hours. And I haven't dropped a single Atma in these 5 hours. It's rough. Well, not exactly. I have dropped a single Atma. I have dropped a single Atma. I've dropped the blue one. I've dropped a single Atma in 5 hours. So, yeah. So, yeah. Look, the game is good, Fox. This is a good game. The leveling experience is great. The gameplay is great. There is a lot of good stuff for a new player to enjoy. The thing I'm complaining about is the current endgame. The current available endgame. The current available endgame is bad. The leveling process is great. The story, the main story, the first 5 add-ons of this game is great. So, this game has a lot of wonderful stuff to offer. It feels good to play. It looks good to play. It's just the current iteration of content that we are being delivered is not good. And I desperately want to like this content. I desperately like the game. I want to like the game. But the current end form content is not good. Because it's a rehash we have done many times before. If you were to level now and you were to go to the maximum level, you would most likely enjoy this. Because it is the first time you're doing this. But as a veteran of the game, this has been done before multiple times. So, that's the entire problem. For a newcomer, this would not be bad. For a newcomer, this would be very much fun. You would go from fate to fate, you will fly, you will hunt down a lot of enemies, you get to level your classes while you do it. It sounds good. It sounds really good. You have multiple choices of farming these demi-atmas. For a new player, if this is fresh, this is good. This is really good. But I have done this step now 4 times. I have done this step now 4 times. I have done Atma 2 times. In fact, I have done Atma, a version of Atma 3 times. So this is the 3rd time I'm doing Atma. And then it's the 3rd or 4th time that I will grind stones. So the repetition is the problem. This is not a unique experience that I'm getting right now. It is a rehashed version of experience. If you were to do this the first time, this would be great. I guarantee it, you would have a lot of fun grinding out the phantom classes, getting the experience for the classes. There is a lot of fun to be had if this is the first time you're doing this. If you're a veteran, you have done this 3 to 4 times before. And that is the problem. We as veterans see this and we recognize the style, and we recognize the monotonity. It is monotonous. It is monotonous. It's monotone, and it's lazy. If this is the first relic you're doing, you will enjoy this 100%, because it's also not difficult. As you can see, I'm not even looking at playing my dancer the right way. I just run around and I just press AoEs. So there is absolutely no difficulty in doing this sort of content. I wish it would have been something new, because we're playing a new add-on. That is all I wanted, really. I wanted something new because I'm playing the new add-on. It's Mononoke. Well, that means princess in Japanese, so... No, it's Mononoke Hime. That Hime is princess. What was Mononoke before? What was Mononoke? I actually don't know what Mononoke means. Was it the woods? No idea. Simple matter of fact is, it is unfortunately a rehash. It is unfortunately a rehash of mechanics, and it is not particularly fun to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's what it is. So yeah, we'll return to World of Warcraft rather soon. This character is almost max level, so I gained 3 levels with this character alone today, which is absolutely insane that I leveled up 3 times already. Spirits of monsters. Okay. Okay. So, I've almost leveled 3 times with this class, and I have yet not finished a single Atma. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Not again. Raised by a Mononoke. Well, probably. Can we get there? It's gonna be Miroslav. I can't get there. I'm still in fight. Now I can. Can I get over there? It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. Can I get over there? I have to get a shot in, and it's dead. Shit. I have to get a shot in, and it's dead. Yeah. Overall, it has to be said that this is not bad. This is not bad. It's just lazy. It's still an adequate way to grind a relic. It is still an not you daft so. Well, sorry. It's still an adequate way to grind something. It is still an adequate way to play. I just wish it wasn't the 3rd or 4th time we've done this. That's the current state of it. That is the current state of it. I've done many fates before. Like, I have done many fates before. Like, I'm complete here. It was fun. Like, it truly... It is fun. It is fun. I just wish we had something new. I just wish Square, while taking our money each month, every single player is paying them each month to be able to be allowed to play this game. I just wish we would have gotten something new and something creative instead of the same thing again. as a customer, as a paying customer, I have the right to criticize a product that I buy. And no one's immune to criticism. Not you, not me, not they. No one's immune to criticism. But I think it is not a bad argument to make as a customer to expect something new. I think it's not a bad thing to expect as a paying customer, to expect something new for your money. And unfortunately, we get a repeat of mechanics, we get a repeat of designs, and we get a repeat of a relic style that we have done before. So yeah, I can tell that Occult, the Fate Zone, will most likely be completely dead in 2 weeks. The 48-man content will only be done by a handful of people. Probably less than 1% of players will be doing the hard version, the Sanguine Tower or the Blood Tower or whatever it's called. So I think less than 1% of people will do the content, if even 1% of people. I think it will most likely be less than 0.5% of people playing the Blood Tower. And is that really a good design choice? To design a content that is visited by less than 0.5% of players? Quite honestly, I think it's an absolute waste of development money. I think it's an absolute waste of time to not offer a normal version that everybody can see without any risks. Sure, let the loot be weaker. Sure, do not give them the most highest amounts of loot. But the simple fact that there is not a normal version of the Blood Tower or Sanguine Fortress or whatever it's called will mean that less than 0.5% of players, if even that, is gonna actually experience the content. That just simply makes it a complete waste of money. It just makes it a complete waste of money and a complete waste of development time. It's bad. It's bad. This is how you ruin your video game. This is how people will stop playing it. And this is how people will stop giving you money for it. That is the unfortunate truth. With Eorzea, everybody got to see everything except of Baldesian. That was the first time we had one of these exclusive 48-man contents. That was the first time. And then Bozja came, and we had a normal version of the Loop Room Regine. So every single player in the game got to experience the bosses of the Loop Room Regine with normal gear. So you have seen everything as a normal person. And they decided not to do that this time around. They decided against the casual player experiencing the entire content, which is mind-boggling to me. What do you find the weirdest about this, Hub? To me, it is mind-boggling that they chose not to give the casual player the possibility of experiencing the entire content. It is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Just play out a game, give us the dumbest mundane grind possible, made everything so expensive, needs months. Yes, that's the next point. the next point is, if you want to have every single piece of gear, it will take you months to do. It will take you months to do. Like months and months to do. I've invested now 22 hours into the relic grind, and 18 of these 22 hours into the occult grind. So I've invested 18 hours into the occult grind. I got 1/2 of a gear set. I got 1/2 of a gear set, not upgraded. I got 1/2 of the basic gear set. 1/2 of the basic gear set in 18 hours. And there is, I believe it's 10 or 11 gear sets. So if we extrapolate the amount of grinding that I've been doing, if I want to have the full gear set for one class, I need to grind, let's say, 25 hours. Let's say 25 hours. So I have to do that 10 times. So that's 250 hours doing nothing but fates and critical encounters. 250 hours. If we have 250 hours, and let's say I wasn't a streamer. Let's say I was a dad, I was a family father, and I have 2 hours to play. So I have 2 hours to play. That takes me, if I don't take a break, 125 days or 4 months to get the gear set of every single class that I want. So it takes me 4 months to get the basic gear set. Now we haven't upgraded that gear set. Now we need we need 3 silver upgrade items and 3 gold upgrade items per item as well. So that means we need 3,600 gold coins, which takes roughly 4 hours. So it takes roughly 4 hours. It takes roughly 4 hours to do gold for one piece of gear. And let's reduce the numbers. Let's say it's 3 hours of fate grinding. So we have 7 hours. So we now have 7 hours to upgrade one piece of gear. We have 5 pieces of gear. So times 5. So we have to times 5 this. And then we have to times 10 this, because we have 10 sets of gear. So that means we have another 350 hours of grinding. So if I want to have every single set, and I want to have it upgraded every single set, if I'm someone who plays 2 hours a day without ever taking a break, 2 hours a day, we're gonna play another 175 days on top of the other. So we have 175 on top of the other 145. We have 320 days of gameplay for this iteration alone, if I play 2 hours a day. So the grind comes to 320 days. So if I want to have the first step of every gear with all of the upgrades by 2 hours a day, and 2 hours a day without taking a break is still a lot of time, we're gonna take a year to do it. It's too much. It's too much. It is absolutely too much. Now that is 10 sets upgraded for 10 different gears. I want to do 2 of those. So that means I have to grind 64 days, 2 hours a day. I'm not grinding 2 months for this. I'm sorry, we're not gonna do that. I will not be in this game doing this 2 hours a day without taking a break. Without taking a break for 64 days. No. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna unlock one relic weapon. I'm gonna do the next with stones because I have almost all of the stones available to me. And then I'm not gonna log in anymore. Until it is obviously buffed or nerfed. You wouldn't let me. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait until it is completely nerfed into the ground. Completely nerfed into the ground. And then I will maybe bother with it. Maybe. Let me tell you what will happen. This is what will truly happen. I will now have dedicated myself to unlocking one Demi-Atma weapon. I will do the next one. I will do Warrior and Samurai. And I will no longer log in. And I will not pay the subscription. They will stop earning money from me. Because the grind that they did is too tedious. They will, most likely. If they do the Eureka thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hop, because you know this probably better from memory than I am. If you want to get to the next step of the armor, because this will be 3 steps. It will be 3 separate relic grinds. This is the first relic grind. There will be 3 steps of those over the course of the add-on. You have to trade in the old gear upgraded to get the new gear. So you have to get the first gear, upgrade it, and then turn it into the second step. Yeah. So you are, if you want to have the second step and the third step gear, you have to grind the first step and second step gear to turn it in to make the new one. So you are forced to do that grind. But what argument are you talking about? It's a bad deal, yo. It's a bad deal. It's a bad design. It is... Final Fantasy XIV poses itself as one of the most casual-friendly MMORPGs out there. This is everything but casual-friendly. This is everything but casual-friendly. This is everything but core grindy. It is just core grindy. There's nothing casual about this. Absolutely nothing casual about this. And I'm sorry that this is a ranty episode. This is the rantiest episode about Final Fantasy I've done in a long time. And I bash on the negatives right now, and I fully understand this. And I love the game. Please don't get me wrong. I love this game. I have spent 290 game days inside of this game. I have spent a lot of hours in this game. I love this game. The more reason I want this game to be good. And you could argue that my subjective argumentations about this game doesn't reflect everyone. But I feel like I'm not that wrong. We had nothing in Pagos, that is true. But Eureka has the defense of it was the first time. They didn't know what they were doing with Eureka. Because it was the first time they've done an expedition style content. So there was a lot of inconsistencies. There was a lot of inconsistencies in Eureka. Because it was the first time they've done it. So it could be excused with that. I'm not defending it, but it could be excused with that. Now they have the experience, but they're making terrible mistakes while doing it. And you can see it on your screen. I'm not doing what a casual does. I have spent 22, 23-ish hours. More like 22. I have spent 22 hours grinding the relic weapon. And I've got nothing to show for it. A casual will not do that. Very simple. A casual will not do that. A casual will not do that. A casual will not do what I am doing right now. A casual player will look at this and go, this takes way too long, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna do something else. Which in return means Square might not be getting a resubscription from that person, me included. I used to be a really core gamer of this game. This was my main game for a long time. I've played for a long time nothing but this game. I used to call myself an MMORPG player. And in my heart, I'm still this. I'm still an MMO kid. In my heart, I love these genres to death. I love these genres. But I recognize when the genre is doing a mistake. And I think this is a mistake. This is a personal opinion of mine, and I could be wrong. But the financial reports of Square Enix do not reflect that I am wrong. They reflect that I might be right. I desperately want to be wrong. I want this game to be good. We're not getting it currently. The simple fact that there is no pity counter. It's called a pity counter. The simple fact that there is not a pity counter in this game is mind-blowing. To think that there is not a pity counter. Well, ban Lara, fuck you, scammer. Nah, I already did it. It's a scammer. I'm not wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I would like to be wrong, but I'm not. And the fact that there is no pity counter, you can say a lot about Lost Ark. Lost Ark is one of the grindiest games in the world. Lost Ark is one of the grindiest games in the world, and I was addicted to Lost Ark. But there is a pity counter in Lost Ark. There is no pity counter here. A pity counter would have saved this so hard. My opinion would have changed like that if there was a pity counter. But there is not a pity counter. What is a pity counter? It's a good question. It's a good question you didn't ask, but I'll ask it for you. What is a pity counter? A pity counter is exactly what it is. It is a counter for you having bad luck. So, I can drop Atmas at random at RNG, but I have the pity counter to count up every time I don't get an Atma to guarantee me an Atma eventually. By increasing the chance or by simply giving it to me. Best Ways Burrows? That's not here. Oh yeah. A pity counter gives me a reward eventually. So let's say I'm in Kozamoka and I do Fates. A pity counter would have increased in the background, increasing the percentage of drop chance ever so higher until it reaches 100%, so I eventually get a Atma. This does not exist. I have done so many fates right now that if there was a pity counter, should have been guaranteed a drop so far. I haven't. So, in all likelihood, there is no pity counter available in this game, which would reduce the strain of this grind immensely, because I know I would be getting something eventually. It is about the assurance that I will be getting something that makes this different. You could say, well, just keep grinding, you'll get it eventually. Yeah, that's true, but I'm not being told that. I'm not being guaranteed that. I just have to do it in trust that it will happen. But trust is the problem. I currently don't trust the process. A pity counter, a visual counter of either guaranteeing me a Atma every 10 fates, or upping the drop chance to an eventual 100%, would have made this different, because assurance gives me confidence to increase the grinding. It increases confidence in doing repetitive content. The simple fact that there is no counter means I have no confidence in the dropping and grinding process of this. If there wouldn't have been the currency exchange after the first Atma, if it was Atma alone, it would have meant that there is no assurance of people ever getting Atmas, getting their relic weapons, because the currency version of it, as bad as currency is exactly what this is. Currency is a pity counter. Why is it a pity counter? Well, you know you need 1,500 stones to get a weapon. And there are various ways of getting currency. This is a disguised pity counter. And this is good, because it gives you assurance that you will have it someday. Currently, we have been here and we have gotten one Atma in 6 hours. It's bad. That is my name. My name is Hana. The pity counter would have been good. The pity counter would have been very good, because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting my stuff. Let me put out Sanosuke, because Sanosuke is not out. Let's pull out Sanosuke. There he is. Good boy. How many relics did you have after the first week of our relic? How many hours did you spend that number? How many pity counters were in that grind? That is whataboutism. Whataboutism does not matter, because it was back then. It was the very first weapon. They didn't know any better. Now they should have known any better. Whataboutism does not matter in this case. That's the simple truth. They now have 14 years of more experience, and they should have known better. They couldn't have known better because there was nothing before that. But now, they should have known better. Yes, I have nothing against grinding. I've said this many times before. People don't listen to me. I have nothing against grinding. I have something against repeating things we have done before. Give me a grind, no problem, but give me something new. I want to have a fresh grind. Give me something I have never done before. Give me something new and rewarding and interesting to play. Don't give me something I have done 3 to 4 to 5 times. Expansion for expansion for expansion. Give me something new. That is the point I'm trying to make. I have nothing against the grind. I have something against repeating the grind. That is the point that I'm trying to make. I don't see it. I don't see it. I have nothing against the grind. I have something against repeating a grind. We have done this before. Give me something new. I am paying every single month, and I'm a paying customer for 14 years. I have been a paying customer for 290 in-game days for this game. I deserve to be treated better. I deserve to be treated something fresh, something I've never done before, something innovative. I should not be treated with the same meal I've had the last 14 years. I should have been dished something new, something innovative, something intelligent. The fact that we did not get this is the entire point of the argument. And a pity counter is something we have never had before, and a pity counter would have been good, because a pity counter is nothing but casual friendly. It's a bad grind. It's not the problem that this is a grind. The form and shape it takes is the problem. And we will not be getting a single Atma. I can feel that we'll not be getting a single Atma until the end of the episode. And I will tell you what will happen if we don't get a single Atma until the end of the next of this episode. We'll drop Final Fantasy XIV from the channel for a long time. This is what's going to happen. Because at this point, I'm getting frustrated. At this point, I'm getting frustrated. Because I am target grinding now. And it is simply doing nothing. And I have become a casual. I have become a casual when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV. And I'm currently way over the limit of time that I actually want to spend doing this. Because I've maxed out everything. So... And I've certainly maxed out my patience at this point. And if I want to level a class, I much rather do dungeons. Because they're much more enjoyable than running around left and right. Come on, game, just give me the damn Atma. I've been here far too long. I've been here far too long. Let's get these guys over there. Can't take aggro as a dancer, unfortunately. These days are over, where you could get aggro as a DPS. Wow. Wow. So I hope you're having a great time, me ranting about how terrible of a state Dawntrail is in. I think I think Final Fantasy will not survive another Dawn Trail. If the next add-on has the same quality of Dawn Trail, I think that will be the end of Final Fantasy as we know it, and it will go down player count wise, subscription wise, and I don't think the game will survive 2 bad add-ons in a row. Because these days the gaming genre is rather cruel. These days it's rather cruel and people are sick and tired of it. Just type in Final Fantasy XIV or FFXIV, Dawn Trail and controversy. Just type that into Google and you will see thread upon thread upon thread, video, Reddit post about people being split in opinion like you have never seen before. Dawn Trail truly split the community apart. And the majority does not seem to like the direction. And I agree with this. I think the direction is not going great. Now then there comes the question, why are we even here? It's a good question. It's a really good question. Why are we even here? Because I wanted to give this game a chance. I wanted to give this game a chance. We are here now on day 3. We're here coming 23rd hour. The conclusion is we're not continuing this. Will we return to Relic Part 2? Probably. Will I enjoy it? Highly unlikely. Is there a possibility of me saying, no, I'm not even bothering with it? It's very high. It's very, very high. The only saving grace for Final Fantasy XIV that I see, and I've said this before Dawn Trail, I've said this in Endwalker, before Dawn Trail even came out. But the only way I can see this game continuing is a great reset. A complete wipe of everything that we are, and we have to restart from zero. We have to lose all of our powers, we have to lose all of our political power, we have to lose all of our friends. We basically have to restart from zero. This is the only way I can see this game continuing, but we are not getting that way. As it seems, we are set up with Dawn Trail and its future to continue whatever Final Fantasy XIV is, and I think that will kill it. So the only real reality is that this game will die within the next 2 add-ons, and we're gonna get a new MMO, Final Fantasy 17, 18, 19, whatever, but we're gonna get a new MMO, and this game will be left to die. That is pretty much the only way this is going to end. Either completely reset the game, completely reset the world, reset the story from zero, and absolutely reset everything, or it's gonna die. And we're gonna get a new Final Fantasy MMO someday. And it's gonna be called 17, 18, 19. And it's gonna be exactly the same game, just with a new graphical overhaul. And because that's what Final Fantasy XI to Final Fantasy XIV is. They're somewhat the same game, just a little more modern. And that's gonna be the same thing with the new MMO as well. It's gonna be the same thing, just a little bit more modern. It's gonna feature Mikota, it's gonna feature Lalafell, it's gonna feature Ryögedin, it's gonna feature Elezen. And it's gonna feature the class system. And it's gonna feature the exact same world, probably. It's probably gonna feature the exact same world. And we're gonna see a lot of the same people and characters. And they're just gonna rehash the entire MMO into a little bit nicer looking, a little bit more modern version of it. And we are all gonna eat it up. We're gonna suck it up. And we're gonna be happy that we got a new MMO. But in reality, it's gonna be the same problems. It's gonna be the same problems. And I don't see this going well. In fact, I don't think it will go well. I think it will go horribly. I think whenever Final Fantasy 17, 18, 19 comes out, whenever that is, 2028, 2029, 2030, I think the dawn of MMO RPGs is over by that time. I think the genre is done for at this point, and I don't think it will survive the next 5 years. I don't think so. Now, will they finally kick the bucket and do what Blizzard does? Give us a Realm Reborn Plus. Give us a season of discovery of the original game. Will they give us rehashes of the base game? Will they give us rehashes of the first add-on? Will they give us rehashes of Havensward, Stormblood? Will they give us rehashes? Because they said they don't want to do this. They said they don't want to do it. But at this point, I don't see them surviving any other way. I don't see them surviving any other way. Because our subscription could work on these rehash game mode versions as well. And that could keep the IP alive for quite a long time. So, will there be a Realm Reborn Classic? Will there be a Havensward Classic? Will there be a Realm Reborn Anniversary? They said they don't want to do it. I can't see it not happening. I think it will happen. And I think it will be a sad day when they do. Because they said they don't want to do it. And they're gonna go back on their word. So yeah. Well. Up. I know you're a little younger than me. You hated that the generation shifted from MMOs to cheap FPS games. Anybody remember RTS games? Anybody remember point and click? I'm generation point and click. I'm generation LucasArts. Story point and clicks. I'm generation Command and Conquer. StarCraft. Warcraft 3. Age of Empires. Settlers. I'm generation RTS. RTS is everything but alive. RTS is super dead. Super dead. Super duper duper dead. So, you hated that the generation shifted from MMO to FPS? Well, it happened many times before. It happened many times before. And no, not FPS is the problem. No, FPS is not the problem. The problem is the internet. Online connectivity is the problem. Because online connectivity has brought in more money than any other offline genre you can imagine. And just by the simple fact that online activity has sold so many more copies than the offline activity ever did. They just gonna do more of what sells the best. And in this case, yes, it is FPS, but it is also mobile gaming. Mobile gaming sells a lot of things. Mobile gaming sells a lot of money. Makes a lot of cash, makes a lot of ding dong. So don't blame FPS. Blame online connectivity. That's more of an issue. Now imagine Final Fantasy or the MMO of your choice not being centrally hosted by Square Enix, or in World of Warcraft's case, by Blizzard. Now imagine if people could host their own server and modify the code as they wish so. Hurdle World of Warcraft. Every other World of Warcraft private server in existence. You're sick and tired of this? Well, there is a fan server with their own custom-made fresh content. So you can play this game, but with fresh content you agree with, because you, the player, would have a choice of content to choose from by communities who agree that this content is the way it should be played, like this, and they offer their flavor of content of choice. Now imagine if that would be the case, and if that would be supported by the creators of the game. What a world that would be, right? What a world that would be, having this game with a different flavor officially supported. Now, it is not officially supported in World of Warcraft's case. Private servers are de facto breaking the EULA and are technically by that fact illegal. However, if you so desire, there are many flavors of World of Warcraft out there. This is what keeps games alive. It's called modification. Mods. Mods is what keeps games alive, is what keeps games fresh, and what keeps player retention. Neither World of Warcraft nor Final Fantasy have understood this. If you were to monetize a custom version of Final Fantasy by providing the server hosting software and the ability to modify game functions and invent your own, and you would monetize this, you would improve your revenue gain by unbelievable amounts. Neither Square nor Blizzard have understood this. If I could play Dawn Trail with a different sets of rules, modification and flavors, with a different set of class functions, I would have the choice to play a game I wish to play in the way I want to, while still giving Square my monthly subscription. They have not understood this fact. Now, let's say Final Fantasy XIV would work like it would have in the old days. To unlock a specific class, for instance, if you unlocked a paladin at level 30, you needed a gladiator at level 30 and a white mage at level 15. So you had to level an appropriate subclass to do it. Now extrapolate that function back into Dawn Trail. You get to choose to play Dancer, but you get to choose to play a subclass of your choice and amplify your class with the subclass. You want to be a Dragoon warrior. No, it is still harping on the game. There's no break here. It is still criticizing the game. It is criticizing the future of this game. Imagine you had the possibility of playing Dancer Bard, Dancer Summoner, Bard Pictomancer, Samurai Monk. Just because you chose a subclass. And that is because a custom modification of Dawntrail would exist. This would be a much more enjoyable, in my opinion, version to play the game for. I would still pay Square Enix the subscription. But I could choose a modification of my choice. But we're not given that. In fact, we're not given that with World of Warcraft. We're not given that with Square Enix. Both games are making this huge mistake of not offering different flavors of their game. World of Warcraft has Classic, Classic Anniversary, and Classic Era. They offer different kinds of flavors of their own base game, which is commendable, because they understood that people might not want to play the current version of World of Warcraft, and they might want to play a different kind of version of World of Warcraft. So they offered at least some of that version, which is commendable. Square Enix basically refuses to acknowledge this fact. DC plays Discord? Well, sure. Hello there.
Hey there. Kind of hard trying to write paragraph-long sentences in the middle of like the 2-minute breaks between fates.
Well, that's just how it is.
Yep. Yeah, no, going all the way back, by the way, step for step, like from a while ago with your RTS with game styles changing. Obviously, that is a thing, but that also is a thing like with the difference of how different upbringings obviously formed us. Like obviously, I'm mainly the RPG guy because I got hit by it for my brother, and my parents were strictly enough to actually, you know, do the sensible thing and not allow me to do the bad games, the shooters, etc., etc. Until
stupid,
I was an
by
age.
the way. That argument is, by the way, stupid. Like, shooters are not bad games, so parents, fuck off.
I mean, that kind of violence, I'd personally still say up to a certain age should not be allowed.
No, video games are video games. And we have we have the age rating, and the age rating should be respected, and if parents do not respect the age rating, it's on them and not on the video game.
Oh yeah, that is 100% that. But that was kind of like my point, like, parenting has changed, and parents have just grown and more, I don't care, and yeah, sure, my 6-year-old play Fortnite all day you want, and spend 2,000
bad parenting, it's not the game's fault.
And spend $2,000 on my credit card every month in V-Bucks.
Online, again?
Because yeah, that is just a thing, like, it changed, and obviously the little kids are just like, oh yeah, shooting, boom, boom, bam, bam, woohoo, that's so cool, that's something that I shouldn't do, but it's cool, and everyone does it, so I absolutely should do it as well.
And then
the corporations just knows, oh hey, those games sell more, and those games have more playtime, because all children that don't have jobs that have so much time.
If that were the case,
Rank up the numbers.
Mobile games would dominate PC market, but they don't. The mobile market outpaces the video game PC and console market combined.
mean, there's a reason most of them are starting to migrate to mobile and PC.
Yeah, but that does not mean that shooters are the issue. The issue is the online connectivity. The online connectivity is the problem, not shooters, not FPS. It's getting kind of painful here.
I've been getting kind of lucky. I mean, you've seen how quickly I rushed by.
Yeah, you got 4 in half an hour. I got 1 in 5.5. So it's bad. And this is this is a dedicated, aimed grind, so it's double worse.
You want to know the even better part?
You're almost done with the other Fate Zone?
Already got 2.
Yeah, today has struck me as odd. Again, that is why I wish for the pity counter. A pity counter is nothing but friendly towards a casual player. The argument of the dad with 2 kids can only play 2 hours a day is always a good argument. Will this person do this grind? I would argue no. Because it would take him for a single set of weapons 2.5 months without taking a break. I would argue he will not do that. And I don't see much evidence for that he will do it.
I mean, to be fair, the other thing is also how we've forgotten what relic weapons actually were as well.
No, I have not forgotten it.
Because relic weapons never were casual content.
Of
relic
course.
Relic weapon. Nah. If you call that freaking grind to go through an Realm Reborn casual, then I want to know what you've been taking. Because I've been taking I've easily been taking like 40 hours. Like, yes, it was a grind where you at least saw light at the end of the tunnel, but after every single step, I didn't know, was there another step coming now before I get what I want, or is there more to this?
It is a casual friendly grind. 100%. Because it was the first time it has been done and not the 4th time it has been done.
And Heaven's Word, it also was still kind of like that. Yes, in Eureka and Eorzea it turned down, but also then people have been complaining that it's been getting too easy and that Relic's been defiled.
The point is not of being it hard or easy. The point is the rehash of the function. It is not the point that it is grindy. A pity counter would have helped. The point is we have done this before 4 to 5 times. I will not continue this grinding step after today. Which means I will not be paying the subscription anymore. Now tell me, is this the goal of this grind? For me to pay the subscription or not pay the subscription?
Obviously, no, the goal is for you to play more and pay more, but on the other, I get your point, but on the other hand, I'm also feeling like we've been asking for this for ages, and now we got something like this again, and everyone's wild again. I am personally happy with the grind so far because it has been a journey. It has been something to do.
It's nice to play the game done again. A Realm Reborn when it came out. You have not done Anima when it came out. You have not done Eureka when it came out. You have done it after the fact. You have done it voluntarily when it was nerfed. You have done it once all of the information was out. You have not done it when it was a concurrent version of the grind.
And I'm done.
There you go. All of my arguments would have been mute if there was a pity counter. The simple reason that there is not. Because if you have a light grind, you have a pity counter. You know that it will end eventually. You see a number go up, you reach the end goal. With Eorzea, you had your stones, you had your light. With Bozja, you had the same thing. You have the currency that you earn to get things up. Now we don't have that. We don't have a pity counter currently, which is the entire problem. After the first Atma, we are getting a pity counter. It's called the currency exchange of 1,500 currency. That in itself is a pity counter. Because you are not locked in doing the same mechanic over and over again. You have different ways of getting the currency, and you know exactly how much currency you need, and you know how much currency you're earning. In fact, you have a pity counter if you do this. With this current Atma grind, you have nothing of this.
Yeah, but you don't have to finish everything in a week. That is also part of the content, is to explore things and have fun and spend some time.
How much exploration is there after you've seen all 10 fights and you've unlocked the map? How much exploration there is?
Still the grind into the frickin' tower.
That is not content people will see. The tower is less than 1% of people visibility. If it were to have a normal version, like the Loop Room Regine, where you could queue in, that would be easy. How many people do you think have done Baldesian or the Loop Room Regine Savage when it comes to the overall player base? Do you think it's more than 1%? I would argue it is less than 0.1%. Less than.
Yeah, but that's also not the game's fault.
Of course it's the game's fault. It's the game's design's fault. They have produced content that less than 0.1% of the player base will get to see. Of course it's the game's fault.
Why
they have programmed that fault.
We've been saying for years, oh, the game's too easy, the game's too easy. All expansion long, we've experienced the one thing at least. We've received a bump in difficulty, and people have been praising it all the time. Why should they stop now? We have now the further bump in difficulty that everyone was wanting, but now the issue is, now that things are actually difficult, people are too lazy to actually put the time in to play that.
It is not about difficulty, it's about accessibility.
How is this content not accessible? Everyone can go in, you do free fates, you get in. You have you have to put some time in to actually learn everything. Sure, it has some trial and error to it, but how is that content not accessible?
Okay, if you do not look up the Discords, if you just queue up for the tower, how successful do you think this will be?
After the first few attempts? Probably not too much.
With a random group without voice chat? After dying 3 times, you're out.
It will take a little bit of time, but yes, it's always been trial and error.
How many Baldesian arsenals have been done by purely random groups? How many the Loop Room Regine Savage have been done by purely random groups?
How many purely random groups have even tried it?
That's literally my point. The accessibility is not there.
The accessibility is there. The thing is, as I said, people are usually just too lazy to spend the time to trial and error, to spend the time to actually get good in something. They need hand-holding in order to do these kind of contents, and that is not a fault of the programmers making this. It's a fault of the player base just being lazy and not having the patience to do that kind of stuff.
I fully disagree, because they designed content that less than 1% 1% of the player base can see. If there was a normal version of the Blood Tower, this argument would have been mute, but there is not. The problem is that this is only for those who seek outside help to clear the content. You cannot do this content purely inside of the game.
Of course it can.
That is the problem. No.
Of course it can.
No. It will not happen. You will not clear the Blood Tower purely with random people. What will happen is pre-made groups will get into this and will reserve the spots to themselves.
Absolutely it will. But that is, once again, not the dev's fault for making it that way. That is the player base deciding to do it that way. That is the case of pre-farming groups that go in with all the information instead of just groups going in. I mean, how are you expecting the people are getting these informations?
It's a programmed problem.
Yes, it is. Most of them are pre-grinded group. Most of them are raid groups that basically play it to get into an alliance. But how are they clearing? They're also just doing the exact same thing. They're going in, they're getting a little bit further, getting a little bit more experience, and at some point they're clearing. And that is something that every single person can do, every single person could do, but no one will, because most people are either saying, no, I'm waiting for those clearers to release guides and then go in with them, or most people are just gonna abandon it completely and not even try. And that is, once again, that is not the dev's fault.
You should not require an outside tool to clear an in-game function.
There is no requirement for it.
There is. I'm sorry, but you're objectively wrong.
Literally every single piece of content, literally every dungeon, literally every trial. You go in with a random party, you maybe wipe a couple times. Yes, you do not have the monetary requirement to enter, and you also don't have the death penalty as much, but you also go in there, you wipe a couple times. Do you remember the first night of freaking Zeroma's normal? Not Zeroma's,
do you think
Zodiac?
that Savage is less frustrating or more frustrating?
I mean, do you remember the first day of Zodiac normal? People have died left, right, and center. There were parties with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wipes. There were parties that absolutely timed out. What were they gonna do? Were they also just gonna wait for outside help to clear that? No, they went in again and again and again and eventually got there.
Yes, they went in and again because there was no penalty for trying. There is a clear penalty for trying it here.
What is that penalty?
The penalty is you can die 3 times and then you lose your currency. You lose the experience as well as you have accumulated, because a death and a resurrection in a field operation means you will de-level.
Which takes you about 10, maybe 15 minutes to get back.
Okay, you don't have that in regular Savage. Do you think Savage would have been as successful as it is if people were to down level after resurrection?
Penalty is still pretty darn minor.
It is a penalty. It doesn't matter that it is a little penalty. The problem is it is a penalty. That is the problem. The problem means that the accessibility of the tower is for less than 1% of players. Hell, normal Savage is already a problem with accessibility because people are scared to do it. If there is a penalty for doing it, it becomes even more scary for the casual player. No, the tower will not be cleared by a purely casual random group.
Oh no, there's a penalty for committing crimes, IRL. And still there are still millions of people committing crime every single day because they just do not care, and because they're sometimes maybe curious, sometimes desperate.
Sorry, but the whataboutism is just it's a bad argument, my dude, honestly. Your whataboutism is really weak. is a really weak
I'm just saying, you
argument.
can't blame the devs for the players not playing the game, because people are just
It
too
is
lazy.
a development design decision.
And even if they removed the penalty, even that penalty wouldn't be there. People, even if the entrance cost also would be falling away, people would still not do it as well. People would be sitting and waiting.
No.
If the death panel, if the death limit wouldn't be in there, then obviously, yeah, it's a completely different story once again. But I'm still saying,
the limit is the problem.
The entire game is trial and error. So why are we now complaining about trial and error, which we've literally done all game?
Because there is not a normal version for casuals to experience this. I've said it now 4 or 5 times. If there were a normal version like the Lubrum Reginae, people could have access to the content. The fact is they can't see the content because it is that harshly punished. It is that limited. It is that inaccessible.
Of course they can.
They cannot.
If people couldn't access this content, then why are there teams out there right now trying to clear it? Why are there teams right now that are
because they're
taking away the
Discord
penalties?
based.
Why are there teams out there that don't care about these penalties?
They're Discord
and they
based.
Right. That does nothing to do with that. That is the case. Those are players that banded together and that want to do the content. I could go into even if the people say like the communication is important, then you could still use the chat function. Yes, you can't use that really mid-battle, but like you can literally still use the chat function to discuss things that you've noticed, to pass down information.
You have never tried to organize 48 players. 48 random players in-game. I've done it in World of Warcraft. Organizing 8 players is hard enough. Organizing 48.
I can get behind.
No.
There is an argument that I can get behind, and with that, I'm 100% with you.
Organizing 8 people in-game is terribly difficult. It's already fucking awful.
I mean, just scheduling times is already a big problem. Yeah, I get that, but the accessibility problem is not a problem caused by the devs. It's a problem caused by the player base just being too thicken and too lazy to just put into work.
It is a program problem, but the viewers on Discord, on Twitch and YouTube can decide that argument because it is a development designed problem. And they should have made this accessible as a normal version. It wouldn't have hurt the bottom line one bit. In fact, it would have improved the chances of randoms trying the Savage version. But the factor that there is not a normal version they could train on, and they have to have the Savage version, and they have to be punished, is what is the entire problem. A Baldesian's Arsenal normal version without the harsh punishment would have made more people try the Savage version of Baldesian's Arsenal. Not providing the normal version access is only detrimental to the player base. It is very elitist to think that only the Savage version is okay. And it should be a version like normal Lubrum Reginae. And this is an awful grind. Oh, that's a nice mount.
That is not the Heidelin one, that's the Endsinger.
Mm-hmm. These dragons are really cool.
Panthers. Those aren't dragons. For the love of God, at least tell me I get the first one for free. It's always been the first one is for free, the second one is payment, come on.
Come on, game,
Okay,
it's about time.
Okay, at least it is the red tomes, not the green ones.
People are gonna do it on Poetics and not on red. 100%.
To be fair, the red ones are grinded fast as well.
Yeah, but Poetics is just so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on, game, it's about time.
I hate you. You're not even getting your first one for free. It's literally just, oh yeah, you need the Atma to for Geralt for the step, and then every step afterwards that actually builds the weapon is just homes. So it's literally just Dawn Trail repeat and Walker repeat at this point.
So the extra Atmas we have, we cannot even turn in?
Nope. At least not that I'm seeing it somewhere right now.
Again, a program problem. Why is it even possible then to drop more than 3?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you care about the story? Do you want to know what he does with the Atma?
I don't really care.
Okay, he uses them to basically enhance his smithing tools with them.
Don't care.
And then uses that basically with an to go with the ore that we're gonna buy to make the weapons.
Don't care.
So that's why we only need the 18. And
yeah,
then
but
no further.
then again, we have another program problem. Why can't I drop more than the 3 required? It is about the inconsistency in the design choice of the current relic that makes this just a bad relic. Why is there even a possibility to grind more than the 3 required? Why have they to have set spawn points and not just overfill with the other spawns? Why do I have 6 and 5 of the yellow and teal version? Why couldn't they have been a overflow one from the other color? It would have reduced the grind because it would have been a pity counter. If you overflow a color, it should have changed into a different color. That would have been good logic.
What is it with paladin weapons always being freaking blue?
Well,
Why can't I finally have a freaking good-looking red glowing weapon? Is that so much to ask for?
because it's a paladin and you're playing the wrong class for it. Red is supposed to be warrior.
Yeah, I know that's far so far, but I really just love my freaking elemental +2 in freaking ruby red, and I'm still looking for weapons that actually accommodate that. The only weapon that I've somewhat found to accommodate that actually is the Realm Reborn relic, With the issue then being, yes, if I color it in ruby red, it's also the exact same accent of ruby red and gold and fits perfectly to the armor, but then I unsheath it and it glows white and it's completely off. But actually thinking about getting, but actually, was there a replica of the exact same weapon, just not glowing? Not even sure there was for the Zeta weapon.
We're definitely not gonna do return to this tomorrow. If I do not get my relic weapon today, we're not returning tomorrow. This is a bad grind. And it's unfortunate. I do want to play this game, but I do not support this design decision.
Don't do it. Don't give the Tomberry a knife, Geralt. Do not offer to give the frickin' Tomberry a knife.
So... we have a fight.
The other thing, at least, that I got quote-unquote lucky with is that I was still missing the green ones in Yaktel, and we had to have the privilege right now that due to the tribal quest having a second instance there. So it was never a dull moment. Whenever there was a dull moment, we just swapped instance, and hey, there are 3 fates.
The simple way to handle this would have been just decrease the spawn times between these things. You wouldn't have need for instance switching. Just decrease the spawn time. I've said it in the mid of the stream. I feel like this current team of Final Fantasy developers are repeating the mistakes they have been done before, and no one has taught them to not do the mistakes.
In case you care.
No, not really. I have watched the video, I've looked at all of the relics. The samurai one is extremely ugly. And the warrior is just okay. And they don't even have a glow, which is a shame.
I mean, it's step 1. The funny thing is mine...
Step 1 of Endwalker had a glow.
The paladin one has a faint pulsing to it.
Yeah, they have
already.
a pulsing, but not a glow. And Endwalker first step had a glow. And they offered a replica without the glow immediately, so you had the choice. This time you're not given a choice. Again, mistakes repeated. Why?
Also, no special effect for the occult in here on the weapons already, sad. We've hoped at least for a little boost on our relic already.
I currently also do not see an incentive to do the tower ever, because the upgraded gear can be done without the tower.
Yeah, but then it's the same thing with Eorzea and with the duels. Yes, you do not need to do the 1v1 duels in order to get all the field notes, but like you're probably gonna save days doing learning the duels over trying your luck.
There's so many inconsistencies that just do not make any sense at the current time. I would have liked something new. But if the next add-on does the same mistakes as Dawn Trails, I don't see it surviving. I think the game will die next add-on.
I mean, as I said earlier in chat already, I was saying we probably should have just ended on the Xenos fight and left us either like canonically cripple or something.
Yeah, Endwalker was not a good add-on. The moon should have never happened, and space travel should have never happened. I can see how you can, like, only you technically can switch to another time zone, like from the 7th shard to the 5th shard. Like, I can see that point somehow, but space travel, yeah. And the well, let's call it
space travel is not gonna come up anymore already, though.
The problem is it did.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It did come up, and we've spent 12 years producing a story from A Realm Reborn to Endwalker. And in the middle of Endwalker, we go, oh, you know what? By the way, there's this space demon trying to kill everything.
And we know that after the big bad that we've been fighting for the past 14 years has already been immediately vanquished.
Correct. So the entire 12 years of story we built up got basically invalidated by, oh, well, there's a space demon. So it's bad.
But yeah, as I said, my point was we probably should have just ended it on the Xenos fight. Our injuries took us over or something or that, and then just let it end there, close chapter Eorzea, and move on with the next game. I feel like that would have been the better option.
Then we had the problem of Endwalker, people turning into monsters because they're scared. Well, it's not like Garlemald hasn't threatened the entire population 12 years before. And people didn't turn into monsters.
That part is explained, though.
Really?
Yeah, with the Zodiac on the moon. Zodiac on the moon was kind of like an anti-seal that kept away the bad of the Endsinger's song, and only once we broke that, the song reached our planet and caused that.
Okay, space demon. So it's stupid.
Yeah. It is stupid, but at least in that moment it is explained at least why it happened and why it couldn't happen before.
But space demon.
So it's at least you know, not a plot hole in that moment.
And we got space magic as well. We have this spaceship that can fit the entire population of Eorzea because they have space compression.
Also not true.
They said that.
Not to my knowledge.
They said that, yes.
I'm pretty unsure they didn't.
They said that they could fit the population of all of the major cities inside of the spaceship because the spaceship will compress whatever goes into very, very small. So you have space compression.
Pretty unsure that was one of the big controversies because Shalian didn't have the powers to that and wanted to evacuate.
They had.
Evacuate a specific few and not everyone. They were able to save millions with that ship, yes, but not everyone, not nearly everyone.
If that's the case, you have the Noah's Ark problem. So what are you going to do now? You have 50 people. You think you're gonna rebuild entire living existence with those few hundred people? I don't think so.
I mean, together with the technology and everything on the moon, the Loporrit's support.
This should have never happened. The moon should have never happened.
Oh, absolutely agree.
It should have never happened. It ruined the entire story. And
I feel like the moon absolutely could have and should have happened as well, but like it should have been dropped as like the Loporrits as the guardians of the seal instead of the last fortress of defense against Endsinger, and being like the last area with the last bit of story.
I'm also in the firm camp of Elpis should have never happened. Emmett should have been put to rest after the Elitibus fight, and we should have never touched it again.
110%. That one absolutely was just fan service because
Pure fan
everyone.
service. We should have never touched Emmett ever again.
Yep.
We had the best villain in all of Final Fantasy, and then we made him an ally. Why?
Well, because time travel, and technically he was never our villain. He technically was our ally at the same, all the time. But
because they rewrote him due to fan request.
Yeah.
If we look back at Shadowbringers, he was never our friend. Never.
Was never truly the villain either, though, until the very end.
He was
always
an
like
antagonist. Maybe not a villain, but an antagonist. A clear antagonist.
Yeah.
And I disliked Endwalker a lot, and I was in the minority of that. Now I feel like the census has somewhat changed.
I mean, most of the people just saw it through the fan service glasses at that moment.
I never did from the very beginning. And the simple fact that we killed Heidelin is just so stupid. So awful.
Oh hey, I just joined Crescenia, the Occult Crescent again. And you know what the first few messages were that I read?
No idea.
We absolutely should just try. What's the worst that could happen? As I'm loading in and as I'm then seeing the weather.
Next fit. Oh my god, it's so awful.
And now I'm just mad because when I came out to join your Fate group, I took a deliberate death and now I can't join them. I hate myself for it right now.
Because there was a penalty. Penalties are bad. You should not punish players for trying. Failure should never be punished. Failure should always be rewarded. Video games do not understand this fact. There should be joy in failing and not punishment. Even a failed player should be rewarded. It's called positive feedback loop. Oh. Well, guys, we'll be here for another 15 minutes. If 2 stones do not drop in this next 15 minutes, I'm not gonna finish the relic.
Oh wait, you're still missing 2 even.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I have been here for 6 hours and I've not gotten 3. I've gotten a single one. So I'm still missing 2 in 6 hours.
Seems to be a you problem though.
Failure should never be punished. At minimum, it should be unpunished. At best, it should be rewarded. Because that is how you create a positive feedback loop.
I fully disagree. To a certain extent. Like if we take another example of getting punished for failure, from one of the few features that I've actually really enjoyed of Dark Souls 2.
We're not playing Dark Souls. Whataboutism. Don't do whataboutism.
You've been saying that games in general shouldn't punish this. Now I want to give you an example of a game doing that punishing, where everyone's been, or where it's been generally accepted and celebrated, and now it's whataboutism.
I'm trying to reduce my argument to Final Fantasy, though.
Didn't sound like that when you made the argument, though. When you
but sure,
saying
go ahead.
Games don't know. Games should know that lesson, but they don't.
Go ahead.
That's just my opinion. Like, you know the feature, that the thing in Dark Souls 2, if you die, you're losing a little part of your health bar, and the more you die until you get halved health.
Yes, was that feature universally liked or hated?
I personally enjoyed the challenge of it, because it obviously opted me to play a bit more cautious than
universally
just trying immediately. Universally, we all know Dark Souls 2 is the most hated of the series anyways, because of everything.
Punishment is never good for failure. Oh, there's a follow-up fate, right?
Start leveling Cannoneer, by the way.
Cannoneer is super strong.
Definitely been enjoying it.
Very strong Phantom. Oh shit.
Even though I'm getting a little disappointed by the leveling curve of it right now. With 4 only giving me a duplicate skill that I can't use, and if I use the other skill beforehand. And with level 5 only giving me an upgrade that doesn't really do much unless I'm money grinding, gold grinding. It might possibly have an effect in the dungeon, I guess. But I'd also be surprised about it, if it is.
Oh, 10 more minutes. Let's see if we can get at least one of those fucking things. I don't think so. Nope. Nope. Oh, what a god awful fucking thing. People are complaining in the chat that we only have to do it at least once, and I just said something that they don't like in the chat. I think because this is terrible, in 0.35 we're gonna do light farm again. People don't want to do light farm. I guarantee it, I'm calling it here, we're gonna do light farm for every single weapon. And you can farm light in fates, in raids, and in the second zone. I guarantee it. Next step will be light farm, because we have only farmed light 3 times before, so why shouldn't we farm it a 4th time? Because why would we get something new? We're just gonna get light again. Yeah, we're gonna have light at the next step, 100%. Oh. But yeah, this will be an interesting episode to upload to YouTube. 2 hours of nothing. So much fun.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Hana Rants.
Wow, that is like the 527th episode of that. Because I'd like to have unpopular opinions, as it seems. Because I usually say the truth that nobody wants to hear. And then after a few years they agree with me. Because that's always what happens.
In a completely different topic. You know how in Eureka we had the fairy buff to increase our power that usually lasted long enough for a full Eureka, full Burdesian run?
Mm-hmm.
And how we now have these 30-minute crystal buffs for Occult Crescent.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wondering if we're gonna see some of them inside to deliberately refresh.
There will be one at the start most likely, and then probably not. Or there will be checkpoint stones, but I don't think it will be at every boss.
No, at every boss I totally don't think so, but like I feel like halfway through the run there we might come across one.
There will be a checkpoint stone probably. But I think the res limitation to 3 reses is pretty harsh. Because if I recall correctly, there was no res limit on the other ones so far. I could be wrong though.
Technically speaking there was, but it was a lot higher.
Okay.
Because you'd technically be limited by the amount of rest spells that you could carry in your holsters.
Which I think is a better solution than maxing out everyone at 3. Because you have people who are more in danger for it. Thanks.
I mean, not just that, imagine you bring a bunch of people that have the ability to revive, because I'm assuming it's still going to be somewhat restricted, that not just the simple rest spell will work.
I'm pretty sure you cannot change jobs while you're in tower. Pretty sure.
But like, the other thing is, like, imagine if you're if on the first round, immediately everyone with a rest dies,
Yeah, and you cannot change the job, most likely. You cannot change your phantom once you're inside. 100%. So you have to have the reserve phantoms or you're done.
Not 100% sure about that.
Pretty sure that they will do that because they always block you from changing your setup after you're inside. They never let you change your setup once you're inside. And we're talking about Japanese developers. They're not gonna do it any differently. So yeah, the 3 death punishment restriction is pretty punishing.
Oh, hello, Berserker. Will you finally give me your soul?
Well, we're reaching the end. Last fate, guys. After that one, we're calling it quits. What a terrible grind. And we'll definitely return to World of Warcraft tomorrow, because that is a much more enjoyable time than this. Yay, yep. This has been nothing but frustrating. Which is a shame. I really want to like this, but I can't.
Yay, another emote. That is currently so over flooding the market that they're worth like 200 gil. Literally. Didn't expect prices to crash that quickly. But yeah, ever since I found that map on Discord in the morning with the chest locations, I have to been getting pretty overwhelmed with everything.
So guys, we're finishing up. We're not returning to Final Fantasy. The grind is unfortunately designed very, very badly, and I do not agree with this design choice. We're gonna return to World of Warcraft tomorrow, so take care of yourselves, wash your hands, have a good one, bye bye, ciao.
Toodles.